Rosalyn Kahn.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rosalyn Kahn with Living Your Best Life here on today's show. Boy, I've never met a person who's so talented and so wise and such an amazing man. We found it was 10 years ago. We met on the digital footprint, and to see where we are today is just absolutely amazing. I'm going to give you one clue to who this guy is. He's referred to as the Robin Williams with an NBA and a heart of gold. So, David, why don't you take it away and tell us the story of who this lovely man is behind the screen?
Lovely man. Thank you very much. It's interesting. I'm often asked, who are you? How did you get started, et cetera, et cetera. I got started in 1952. I was a zygote right before that, and then an embryo. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and never having studied business, I find myself advising some remarkable business professionals. And so I'm an entrepreneur with a spirit of happiness and joy and love and creativity, with a PhD in figure it outitiveness. I love figuring things out, inventing products, building companies around those products. My latest invention, check this out. It's in every hospital in New York City, New York Health and Hospitals. And it's a device, it's a pod that's designed for doctors and nurses to go from their crazy roles and goals and through nature, video, and audio into their souls. And we just won the the International Healthcare Award for Innovation. So I've got all these inventions that I love to do, and I've been doing for 30 plus years. And so who am I? I guess I'm an entrepreneur who loves to create either products or services, write books to uplift and inform and inspire the human condition. There it is, mic drop. There it is.
Wow. Now you hit a spark because I consider myself a highly creative person. I've written books. I love poetry. I love anything that has to do with art and creation and things like that, be it photography or speaking. Tell me, where does that dearth of creativity come in your way? How did it enter your life?
I I think the seminal situation or event was I was at a little party um, with about 500,000 other kids. We called it Woodstock, 1969. I just turned 17 and I was backstage, and that's a story for another show. But I was being asked to leave because I wasn't supposed to be there. And I mean, I'm back there in the soundtrack going, oh my God, there's Jimi Hendrix. Oh my God, there's Janis Joplin. Anyway, I'm asked to leave. And as I'm leaving, there was a guy sitting on the stage, cross-legged over in the corner. And he looked at me he had this big afro, and he looked at me like he knew me. And he said, man, you're like either green and growing or ripe and rotting, but you're never standing still. I was like, okay. I mean, I just turned 17. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. But I found out later what that was about. And that is the essence of continuous improvement. CANI, continuous and never-ending improvement. TQM, Six Sigma. It's all about, you either get mo better or you get mo worse. And so from that, I was mentored at a distance from James Baldwin, and I've got a picture of him back there, who at the end of his movie, the movie entitled I Am Not Your Negro, he said, we can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it. And that really hit me. That hit me big. So years later, after that, maybe 25 years later, I wrote a best-selling book called Illuminate, Harnessing the Positive Power of Negative Thinking. What? Negative thinking? Yeah. We can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it. And some of the things we need to face are of a negative flavor. And that book teaches face it, follow it, and fix it. That's called illuminate. That's the illuminate process. You probably heard, you've been in my audiences, you've probably heard me speak about that. So that's illuminate. And so when I look at issues, I illuminate them, and the solution after illumination becomes quite clear. For example, 17 years ago, I started a business that puts healing music in ambient public spaces in hospitals to create a sacred healing space. 17 years ago, it solved a problem of fear and noise in hospitals. Then, about 3 years ago, we looked at a problem which was burnout. Doctors and nurses, $4.3 billion problem per year. So we created nature video, nature audio in a pod. We faced it. Faced it is the fact that we got burnout. It's costing us a lot of money. Follow it out into the future. We're going to have a shortage of doctors and nurses. Fix it, the rejuvenation station. Check it out, rejuvenationstations, plural.com, and you'll see TV shows, national TV shows that have us on it, and they're talking about how cool it is. We went to clinical testing down in Houston, Texas, and then 3 weeks after clinical testing, this thing called COVID hit. You ever hear of it? COVID? You heard of that?
I've heard those words.
And I'm not that smart, but I am connected. And the rejuvenation station came through us just in time out of clinical testing for COVID to hit. And as I say, it's in all these hospitals, and doctors and nurses are. So, there it is. It comes from Illuminate. And my latest book, The Illuminated Brand, is kicking butt. During COVID, I had 2 books make the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. During COVID,
Who would have ever thought?
It's kind of cool. So I think when listeners ask themselves, what am I not facing? And when you face it and then follow it, what's causing it? You're not facing X. What's causing X? What's keeping it alive now? And what happens? Follow it out into the future. What happens if I don't mitigate that? Then you start waking up to and embracing and accepting and attracting the fix, which is either to minimize the negative aspects of it or to optimize and solve and fix it. That's the Illuminate model. And that's how I do all my inventions. I have an invention after that invention for diabetic neuropathy, which is so stay awake, stay alert, stay alive, and have that heart for tzedakah.
No, definitely.
To give to others, to bless others.
That's amazing, because you talk about nature and so forth. I'm a teacher in the colleges. I teach public speaking, and I teach in the inner city high school. I teach at John Fremont High School, and I was teaching the kids about the motivated speakers model, where you get the person's attention, you tell them the problem, how to solve it, how to visualize the positive and the negative, and the outcome. And so we were talking about, it was on stress. Stress was the basic point. And we said, you'll love the need, and you'll smack me on the side of the head. I said the 2 most stressful jobs that one can have is a doctor and an air traffic controller. And so we went through all the problems and how you have to have those things on the wrist to confirm who you are, so that we don't. And we talked about satisfying. And I said the simplest thing that you can do to overcome stress is to walk outside, to appreciate all the things that are out there that you can go ahead and see, that doesn't cost any money, that you simply open your eyes. I said, let me give you a secret. On my drive from the valley to the inner city, I revel at looking at all the murals on the wall and the artistry. And I said, you don't know what's great out there. And some of the kids said, we were talking about go into your hobby and what's your hobby and so on and so forth. And some of them said sleep. I said, take the sleep, get up, and go outside. There is so much beauty. I'm a person who gets enamored by clouds, sunsets, flowers, birds, people. There's so much to appreciate, and it's all out there.
Yeah,
It's amazing. So it's really. I got my next question for you. You talked about the hospital, and so I said at the hospital, doctors are overworked because they have so many hours and there's so many long schedules. And so they operate on the wrong arms and the wrong limbs and this and that. But what took you to the hospital? I mean, you've done so many different things in so many different industries. What said, David, hospital, here I come? What was it?
Well, in 1977, I moved from New York to California to go to medical school.
Okay.
And before moving to Palo Alto, I moved to San Diego, and I enjoyed work and business. So I gave up going to school at Stanford. I did get some of my money back, though, which was kind of cool. But I've always been interested in healthcare. I was a psychotherapist years ago, created one of the first community crisis intervention centers, doing drug outreach, 24/7 suicide prevention. We were doing outreach for rape victim mitigation. And it was and that's why I got accepted to medical school, not for my grades, but rather for my community activism and service. So healthcare and medicine has always been important to me. Right now, healthcare of this patient, the only one I have true responsibility over and for, is critical. Having a big party here this summer called Corbstock for my 70th birthday.
Wow.
and it's marking the 50% mark to my entire lifespan. I'll go to about 140. But I'm all about healthcare and I'm all about health. I think it's really sad when people don't recognize and respect the body temple that is. I've got 8 cars. I happen to like cars. I'm not quite a Jay Leno, but none of my cars will go anywhere without the right fuel. And
Right.
so I'm all about putting the right fuel in our system. So healthcare has been interesting to me. My wife and I wrote a book called Resanity: Truths About Food, Pharma, and Healthy Living in an Insane World. So we're very much into health. Healthcare is critically important to me. Yes, there's medical error that used to kill 100,000 people every year.
Mhm.
There's a colleague of ours who was tapped on the shoulder by Barack Obama to head up a CMS. He had an institute to stop that, and he did. He did a great job. They cut off the wrong leg. That's a rather inconvenient situation, but it didn't kill them. So there was 100,000 people that healthcare was killing, and that didn't count some of those other things. So what can I do? Well, my friend Rosalyn, she knows that if you go out in for a walk in nature, she knows that that's going to impact the human condition in a very positive way. That's called the science of biophilia, biophilia, maybe 2 L's. And the science of awe. Do you know that there's actually a science called awe? Isn't that awesome? And so on my property here, I live in San Diego. I'm in a cottage in the back of my property. It's where I mentor clients, and they stay in the cottage, and there's we're outside,
Wow.
and we let the chickens out of the chicken coop, and we go visit the turtles in the pond, and there's plenty of lizards and birds, and the cat is there chasing rabbits, and nature in my backyard fortifies and uplifts my spirit so I can do the mentoring I do, the speaking I do, the books that I write, the consulting that I do, and on and on and on. All fueled by the proper food I put in here, through meditation and something I've developed called Meditration, another show.
Right.
And so it leads to a big life. A big, happy, wonderful, magnificent life. I made millions of dollars during COVID.
Wow.
And I think it's attracting it by being it. Yeah.
Thank you for your interest in InFlight USA and our newest publication, BizAvJets USA. We serve general and business aviation throughout the U.S. For more information on submitting articles or advertising in our publications, visit inflightUSA.com. Thank you.
BizAvJets USA magazine is a new publication to the business aviation industry. And business aviation is a growing and thriving industry. We plan to bring you all the latest trends and news. We also plan to bring you new information about new airframes, systems, and interiors to market. Feel free to visit bizavjetsusa.com.
For 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
Well, no, you stated some really good, true things to the fact, and I'm in the nation, but I love nature. And so the thing that centers me is I begin with a meditation. I belong to a meditation group. They're called the Thrivers, and they set my mind by listening to people like Mel Robbins and the other sorts, and they go through this certain process. But when I'm on my own on Saturday, I love nothing more than going out and playing in the rose garden. And I prune the neighbor's yard and I prune my yard and I, take care of them and I make these beautiful bouquets. And if you go to my Instagram page, you can see all the flowers that makes my life brighter. I enjoy taking, baskets to people of just different flower creations. I too wrote a book during the COVID. It's called A Message for Tomorrow's Leaders. And it's really an ethnography that goes ahead and looks at the protests, the pandemic, and the riots. And it looks at all sorts of different people and how they had faced that adversity in their life and they came out on the other side.
Mm.
I interviewed over 46 people, from inventors to writers to TED speakers to teachers to everybody in between. And it was really a wonderful story of resilience. One of the kids in that book is a gentleman by the name of AJ Stunts. And AJ Stunts is a child that I met through a gentleman by the name of Tyler Gordon. You ever heard of Tyler Gordon, the kid who painted the picture of Kamala Harris and went viral? You got to turn into my show tomorrow because you get to see him. This is a child who was raised from 5 years old. He was deaf, didn't speak a word to his name. When you listen to the show, you might hear a slight stutter, but his artistry is magnificent. He got a vision that he decided to create this picture of Kamala Harris. And he goes down to the San Francisco Bay, and it shows in a promo that's running how he created this picture. And he can do it in about an hour. And he said it just came to him. He just loves painting inspirational people. And Kamala Harris called him just before she became vice president. And she said, "Oh my God, this is incredible." His video went viral. He was then on the front of Time magazine as the kid of the year. Wow. And he gets on my show and I said, "Do you remember when I interviewed you at the Beverly Center?" And he says, "Well, I can't remember, but I guess I'm just a little bit more than before, but I'm humble." How many famous people do you know that are humble? And I tell you that story because that kid is going to be on my show tomorrow. And he had a friend that I met in social media whose name is AJ Stunts. Now, I really love AJ Stunts because AJ Stunts, like you, is that humanitarian who goes out in his community, and he found the homeless shelters by his parents because his parents took him to a homeless shelter because he didn't know how the homeless lived. And it was there for the holidays. And he thought, wow, isn't this amazing? Look at all the gifts they get. They got a good life. And he found out that really wasn't it. And so he goes back every weekend and he's there and he's dealing with the homeless. They sent me a video for New Year's and he was in the hood in some of the most difficult, awful places that you could go in Oakland. And the priest who was with him, I'm sorry, I don't remember the father's name, said, on the other side of these gates are some people who've had a bad rap in life. And I hope one of the things that you learn from this day of what it's like to be able to give back to the people on the other side. And he's got music. He's a dirt bike rider. He's been riding motocross, but really this kid has a heart. He started a group for fathers to be better mentors to their children. And just an amazing kid. When Tyler didn't have enough time, I met AJ, and AJ is the youngest kid in my book. And I actually invited him to a platform that was called World Young Leaders, and it was recommending 50 of the world young leaders around the world. So when you met me, I said, "Hi, my name is Rosalyn Kahn. I've been on the TED stage, and we should talk." Now I can tell you, my name is Rosalyn Kahn. I have a show that's called Living Your Best Life with Rosalyn Kahn. Been part of a best-selling author with Robbie Motter and Stand Up and Show Up. But my show just launched in Las Vegas, Nevada, prime time, 7 days a week. So it's kind of amazing what happens in a period of 10 years. And I just marvel at all the books that you run and all the lives you have touched. It's just absolutely amazing. But my telepathy is telling me, I think it's about time that we have a break, because we've been yapping for quite a while. So let's take a quick break now, and I'll be right back with you.
My grandmother had Alzheimer's, and I remember we were all in the hospital room, and for like 10 seconds she recognized who we were, and then it was gone. So it's like a thief. It's taking away memories and who you are as a person. Over 5.5 million Americans have Alzheimer's. That number may double by 2050. For more information, visit rightfocus.org.
Senior Care Authority is a one-stop solution for helping you locate senior living options.
We understand the care, the costs, and the safety records of hundreds of communities, from assisted living and memory care to independent living and even skilled nursing. We help families cut through the complexity to make courageous, informed decisions under difficult circumstances.
Hey, are you looking to get blinged out? Well, look no further. Boss Lady Bling Blingy have all the bling you need. You can find us online at Lady Blingy 4 on IG or Lady Blingy on Facebook, or www.bossladyblingblingy here in sunny San Diego at 2031 Commercial Street, San Diego, California. Call us at 619-617-4586.
Good morning. This is Dave D. Smith. I'm with Banner Printing Company. We're a printing brokerage. We provide books, letterheads, envelopes, laser checks, accounts payable or payroll, and we provide promotional products, things like jackets, shirts with your logo on it, signs for the sides of trucks, and banners of any kind.
Gosh, time just flies when with your David Corbin. A little birdie told me there's 2 new books he has coming out. Tell me what they're about, David.
Well, the latest one is doing crazy well. I'm very pleased about this one. The Illuminated Brand. It's all about you're either building your brand or you're killing your brand, and nothing is neutral. And we teach doing an audit of brand integrity, where you've got your values on one side and your intended brand descriptors and all of your touch points across there. And you ask, am I living the brand? Yay, that's brand integrity. Or am I killing the brand? And that's brand slaughter in the first or second degree. So that's a really cool thing. And that comes from my previous book, Preventing Brand Slaughter, which went on to the Wall Street Journal bestseller list. And now the one that we're just doing now, and this is crazy, is called From WTF to OMG with some LOL. Because we've all had what the farfignugan is going out here situations with pain or trauma or dismay, only to find out, OMG, that was a gift. LOL, I didn't even realize it. And in this book, I've got people who've walked in space 5 times and 3-time Olympic gold winners. I've got Richard Dreyfuss, the Academy Award winner, who I mentor, and others telling their stories, and other people who you don't know telling their WTF stories and their OMG realization with an occasional LOL. That's a cool thing. I'm actually soliciting stories. If someone has a story, a WTF to OMG story, reach out to David at davidcorbin.com and we can talk about it.
Wow. I bet you I'm going to have one of my stories going out to you too. So, David, how can someone get a hold of you? We met 10 years ago. You left a mark on me. It's right here on my head. We got the color of the book. I'm set. I'm set. This is my brand color.
Look at that. There's your color.
So we planned that out. How can people reach out to you, David?
Just, David at davidcorbin.com. I promise that I answer every email, not necessarily the same day, but we sort through and we make sure we answer every non-spam email, because I'm going to die in 70 years. And I want to make sure I touch and bless as many people as I can.
Well, David, you don't want to put a year on it, because the famed Dr. Sharon Shrow had predicted when her moving on was going to be. And it was unfortunately to the day that she had gone ahead and said. So, David, you're going to live in eternity. And I told you so.
Oh,
And whenever life happens and it takes you away, that'll be it.
We never.
It's a pleasure and an honor. My name is Rosalyn Kahn. The show is called Living Your Best Life on Chow Entertainment. You can always tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. We've also launched in Las Vegas. We're on Roku. It's 26.8 in Las Vegas every day of the week, prime time. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This has really been an incredible opportunity. David Corbin, I love you. I'm going to invite you to my birthday party coming up this weekend. I'm going to be at your party. Stay tuned afterwards to find out the details.
Nurse Access Staffing is seeking experienced RN and LVNs. For more information, call us at 818-697-4484 or check us out on our website, nurseaccessstaffing.com.